as far back as Last Ronin 1, well, basically on everything I've ever done, because everything before Last Ronin 1 was like, you know, your heart and soul, everything you're making on your own, or everything you're doing for like the lowest page rate imaginable, just to like get that next step to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. I've been able to not so much focus on what this particular comic or this particular page pays, and just focus on doing my absolute best work because of all these other things I have going on. I'm stalling. I should be drawing. But recently I've been trying to make it a point to go with the flow and follow my inspirations or my creative impulses. And if I'm feeling inspired to do one thing over another, rather than kind of hemming and hawing back and forth and working myself into this state of thinking about what out of these 10 or so things I should be doing, just picking one and getting it done and having fun. So I'm inside today. Well, I'm not in my car, that's what I mean. Let me start over. The way I've lived for as long as I can remember, as long as I've been making comics, especially before it was even a job whatsoever, my default mode or daily goal is to just be making comics. And as you can imagine, I'm sure you have things you'd like to be doing that you may rarely get time to do. But even when making comics is my job, like it is now today, I'm doing so much more than just making comics. And that's all in service to having a career where, at least on the surface, appears to be just making comics. So all these other things help afford the time to spend the time at the desk doing your best work and thinking less about, oh, this page pays nothing in some cases, or this page pays $100, $200, which is kind of standard fare in the middle. There are page rates I've heard tell of over at Marvel or DC, for example, in the 400s, and maybe you're even on contract with them, so you're, almost on salary, I think is how it might work there. And I'm not sure if that comes with any benefits, but consider that the top, consider 100, 200 to be the middle page rate, and then everything else is pretty much nothing. So if you think of like a 200-page book, Jack Kirby says a page a day. He's the king of comics. We all try to do more than a page a day, of course, but say that's the normal and healthy way to make comics. That's at least 200 days, 200 good days, because you know something's going to come up. How often do you get 12 hours to just do one thing in your life? Whether you want to or not, it's typically interrupted by other things. And when you're talking about creating or drawing, at least for me, the less interruptions, the better, obviously. You want to start rolling down that hill of momentum into the zone and then not be snapped out of it as often as possible. So my daily, regular, baseline, default mode in my brain is all I should be doing all day long is just making comics. That's all I'd like to be doing, right? And I rarely accept that that's probably impossible most days. And these days, I'm not only trying to accept that, but trying to remember that all these other things, whether it's, running the club or calling town offices for taxes and getting insurance on this, that, and the other thing, or everything you have to do to run any kind of small business, plus being an employer, and I guess that falls under small business. There's social media element, all the marketing. You can make this stuff all day long, but if you never get it out there, you'll probably go broke and die. No. Marketing, sales, social media. So if I can find aspects of all of this is all comic making to me. All of that. Running the store, running the club, toy packaging, art, freelance work. Every one of these comic jobs too is essentially like a different job. They're different employers. They come with different slew of emails, different slew of contracts to sign, interruptions to actually just the making, right? But you would have nothing to make if not for all of those interruptions, and it's just the way it goes. So I've been trying to remind myself that this is all part of the job. It's all part of my job. This like solar system, and the sun is just making comics all day long when all these other things, have to work together. And that's fine. So if I can find ways to do these other things like YouTube that actually make me happy and I want to do it the first thing when I come in, I'm going to attempt to stop depriving myself of that joy and just have some fun. Some people ask me pretty much every time I'm anywhere, any convention, but most recently when I opened the studio up and had people in, I must have been asked like 5 or 6 times like what I'm drawing for fun. And I was like, man, and this is probably so many working artists, but I was like, I'm not really drawing anything for fun. It's all fun. It's all what I've always wanted to do since I was 11 years old, but it's work. Even my daughter, Rita, she's 2.5, she was coloring, and this was like a year ago. And she was like, I'm working. And so I've already robbed her of coloring. So I'm gonna stop being so hard on myself for following, my artistic instincts. That's what I've done my whole life. I can still get the work done, but rather than spending a huge chunk of time deliberating with my mind about which of these different things I should do, I'm going to kind of try and approach things like I would have back in the day, before anything had really popped off. You're constantly making these decisions about, like what's most important right now. Like I can choose to make a 250-page book, which is going to take me a hell of a lot longer than 250 days. And that's like a lot of time to devote on something where you're not making any page rate. And it's a lot of belief and delusions of grandeur and confidence that when this thing is done, it's going to get in front of these people, and that's going to lead to the next thing. It's going to lead to the next thing. And you have to believe it. And so that's how I've always done things. And it's not until the past few years, I suppose, where I have had like so much to do and real deadlines and other, people counting on me, that I would kind of stifle all the stuff that I wanted to do for myself. Not just like personal projects, but like these glass shelves at the studio. I've been in 3 different spots in this building, but every one of these spaces I've set up these glass shelves and never fully even set up all my toys. So, it's been good for me because I don't really buy them anymore, but it's it's rough. Like I don't watch any movies anymore. I don't watch any shows. I don't read any comics really. I'm not collecting. At some point, you got to do some things that make you happy and follow your artistic instincts and your curiosities. And how many of my ideas, or how many of your ideas, like were sparked by this little thing you saw in a video game or in a movie, or while you were thinking about something else. So I'm trying to tell myself that this is part of my job and it's okay to like it, and that Instagram is still part of my job. TikTok, what else? Facebook, it's all part of my job. Whatnot, I was on Whatnot the other night. That was awesome. I get like butterflies in my tummy about going live, but I finally scheduled one a few days before, which gives people time to RSVP and learn about it and then decide if they're going to show up, because you don't want to go do a Whatnot live auction with no promotion or no hype and then have nobody show up and everything go for too low. So if I can't schedule it a few days in advance, I usually won't do it. So I pulled the trigger, picked a date, and it was awesome. Went for 4 hours, did like 70 something auctions, 5 giveaways, 6 giveaways, or something like that. I think the whole live video is here on YouTube too, so check that out. Lots of fun. But I try to remember it's all part of it. It's all in service to just making comics. I've been able to not so much focus on what this particular comic or this particular page pays, and just focus on doing my absolute best work because of all these other things I have going on, like the club or the store, or doing all these conventions, or toy packaging, or taking other freelance jobs on top of freelance jobs, doing beer labels. Like, you do all that so that, yes, you're splitting up your time and you're divvying up your days and thinking of it day to day on the daily. That is what frustrates me. It's like, oh, I should just be making comics. I should just be making comics. But I know the truth is that all of that is what I should be doing, and it's what allows me to make comics, because I don't think that they could ever possibly pay what they ought to pay. Like a whole day, best case scenario, like how much would you need to make to like continue to live? You gotta be doing more than a page a day, or you have to find other ways to make it not so much about the page rate, and then you're also getting your best work, but you have to maintain and do all this other stuff at the same time, and it's stuff you enjoy, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there's only so many hours in a day. So it's just this crazy thing I've been thinking about and overthinking about, and I love thinking about process. I love thinking about like the best and fastest ways to do certain things, or like thinking of 4 or 5 reasons to do this one thing, like because it makes sense in tandem with the work that you're doing over here, or comics as the sun and the solar system around it being everything else. I don't know, you know what I mean? So I'm reminding myself, this is part of your job. It takes what it takes. And it's been really great to see the engagement from people actually watching the videos. Like some of the view counts on my latest studio tour, or how to break into comics video, like it's blowing my mind. It's insane to me. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks for commenting. But I'm gonna try and make all of this just more enjoyable for everybody. And I've also been trying to tell myself that I can do it all. That's my new delusion of grandeur, or overconfident, optimism. I'm gonna work on the comics, I'm gonna get them done. I'm gonna keep talking to you here on YouTube, and myself. And yeah, I think if I spend a little less time worrying about what I should or shouldn't be doing, I'll have a lot more time for the things I'd like to be doing. So I'm gonna try that. wish me luck. I wish you luck with whatever you're trying to do. I've been, no idea what I was going to say there, so I'll leave you with that. I've been Ben. That's it for me. I'm gonna go draw.